The chandelier light catches the edge of my wine glass, scattering gold across the tablecloth like a taunt. I'm tucked into a corner of the Grand Regency's ballroom, the kind of place where San Francisco's elite sip overpriced champagne and pretend they're saving the world. Governor Hayes's annual gala is in full swing, and I'm here, alone, in a sleek emerald gown that cost half my month's rent. My name is Emily Carter, and for 35 years, my family has branded me the failure, the black sheep, the one who dared to dream beyond their gilded cage. Tonight, though, something's about to break, because as I sit here, unnoticed, a shadow moves too quickly through the crowd, and the glint of steel in their hand sends my pulse racing. I grip the stem of my glass, eyes scanning the room. The string quartet's melody weaves through the chatter of tech moguls, politicians, and socialites. My brother, Lucas, is across the ballroom, working the crowd like he was born for it. He's the golden boy. Stanford-educated chief of staff to Governor Daniel Hayes, the Carter family's pride and joy. His tailored tuxedo fits him like a second skin, and his laugh carries, charming a circle of donors. I'm invisible to him, to everyone, just another face in a sea of power. My family made sure of that, whispering for years that I'm the disappointment, the one who threw away a legacy for radical nonsense. But they don't know the half of it. They don't know I'm a U.S. Congresswoman elected against all odds, or that I've spent my life fighting for people they'd rather ignore. And they definitely don't know about the threat closing in on me tonight. The shadow moves again, slipping behind a marble pillar. My breath catches. I've been through too much to dismiss it. Death threats, a sniper's bullet, a car bomb. This isn't paranoia, it's survival. I set my glass down, fingers trembling, and glance at the nearest exit. Too far. The crowd's too thick. I'm trapped in this glittering prison, and the weight of my family's rejection feels heavier than ever. They're not here. My parents, Michael and Catherine Carter, skipped the gala, probably to avoid the awkwardness of seeing me. Lucas, though, he's here, and he's the one who invited me. Was it an olive branch? A mistake? Or something worse? I was 17 when I first realized how deep their contempt ran. Back then, I was just a kid with a blog, naive enough to think truth could trump money. I exposed a data privacy scandal at a tech giant tied to my father's investments, a move that went viral and cost his firm millions in stock value. The fallout was brutal. "You're dismantling our legacy for pipe dreams," he roared, his face crimson as he slammed his fist on the mahogany dining table. My mother, always the poised one, just sighed, her disappointment sharper than any scream. "Emily, this isn't how Carters behave." Lucas, barely 20, watched in silence, already their perfect heir. That night I learned my place, the outsider, the traitor, the one who dared to ask why. The ballroom's noise pulls me back. A waiter brushes past, his tray wobbling, and I catch a glimpse of the shadow again, closer now near the governor's table. My heart slams against my ribs. I've faced danger before, but this feels different, personal. I scan for Lucas, but he's deep in conversation with the senator, oblivious. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm a congresswoman, elected to represent California's 12th district, and my own brother doesn't know. Or maybe he does and chooses to ignore it, just like our parents have ignored every milestone I've clawed my way to. I didn't set out to be their rebel. Growing up in Pacific Heights, our family name opened every door. Private schools, exclusive clubs, invitations to galas like this one. The Carters built their fortune in tech, riding the Silicon Valley wave to billions. My parents had a script for us. Ivy League, corporate success, a life of polished perfection. Lucas followed it flawlessly. Stanford, tech internships, now a political kingmaker at 38. I was different. I devoured books on history and justice, asked questions they didn't want to hear. Why did our wealth come at the expense of others? Why did our friends laugh off policies that crushed entire communities? Lucas never questioned. He just smiled and played the game. I couldn't. At UC Berkeley, I found my purpose. While Lucas thrived at Stanford, I immersed myself in a world where ideas mattered more than money. Professor Rachel Kim, a former Capitol Hill staffer, saw something in me. "Own your voice, Emily," she said, after I dissected a Supreme Court ruling in her seminar. "You're not just a Carter, you're a force." Her words were oxygen to a suffocating soul. I joined an advocacy group, uncovering a corrupt housing deal that funneled public funds to developers. We exposed it, saved affordable units for thousands, but the backlash was swift. Death threats flooded my inbox, each one more vile than the last. "You'll pay for this, Carter," one read. I didn't back down. The shadow moves again, now just 2 tables away. I slide my hand into my clutch, fingers brushing the pepper spray I've carried since the sniper incident. 2 years ago, at a rally for voting rights, a bullet grazed the podium where I stood. The police called it a random act, but I knew better. My work had enemies. Powerful ones, some with ties to my family's world. I glance at the governor's table, where Lucas is now whispering to Hayes. The governor's a tall man, all charisma and sharp suits, but tonight his smile feels like a mask. Does he know who I am? Does he care? I think back to Thanksgiving 5 years ago, when the family rift became a chasm. I'd just landed a job at a nonprofit, boosting voter turnout in underserved communities. Over turkey and crystal, my father sneered, "You'll be broke and irrelevant by 30, Emily." Lucas, home from a tech internship, said nothing, his silence louder than words. My mother's tight smile was worse. "We're just worried you're wasting your potential." Potential to them meant a corner office, not changing lives. That night, I vowed to prove them wrong, even if it meant losing them. The crowd parts, and the shadow steps into the light. A man, mid-40s, in a waiter's uniform that doesn't quite fit. His eyes lock on mine, and my stomach drops. He's not here to serve drinks. I stand, my chair scraping softly, and signal to Alex Reed, my fiancé, across the room. Alex, a political strategist with a journalist's instincts, has been my rock since we met at a campaign event. He's at a side table, charming a donor, but his eyes catch mine and he starts toward me. Too slow, the man in the waiter's uniform is moving faster, hand slipping into his jacket. I flash back to the car bomb. 6 months ago, outside my nonprofit's Oakland office, a blast shattered my car's windows. I was steps away, knocked to the ground, ears ringing. The police found no leads, but the message was clear: stop digging. I didn't. My nonprofit had just boosted voter turnout by 18%, a win that threatened the old guard's grip on power. The cyber attack came next, leaking our donor list and tanking our funding. I rebuilt, but the scars remain. Not just on my psyche, but in the way I scan every room for exits. The man's hand emerges, holding not a gun, but a phone, aimed at me. A camera flash blinds me and I stumble back, heart pounding. Is he documenting me? Threatening me? The crowd murmurs, sensing the tension. Alex reaches me, his hand on my arm. What's happening?" he whispers. I shake my head, eyes on the man, who's now retreating into the crowd. A decoy? A warning? I don't know, but my instincts scream to move. Before I can, Governor Hayes himself strides toward our table, his entourage trailing. Lucas is behind him, clipboard in hand, the perfect political operative. Hayes's eyes widen as he sees me, recognition dawning. "Wait, you're Congresswoman Carter." His voice carries, and the ballroom hushes. Lucas freezes, his face draining of color, like he's seen a ghost. The weight of 35 years of betrayal crashes down in that moment. My family's lies about my failures, my irrelevance, are unraveling in front of California's elite. I stand taller, extending my hand. Yes, Governor. Emily Carter. Thank you for the invitation. My voice is steady, but inside, I'm reeling. Lucas never told him. My own brother, who spent years climbing the political ladder, kept my career a secret. The governor clasps my hand, his surprise shifting to curiosity. Your work on voter access is making waves in D.C. I had no idea you'd be here tonight. He glances at Lucas, brow furrowing. Why didn't you mention this, Carter? Lucas stammers, his polished facade cracking. An oversight, Governor, my apologies. The lie is flimsy, and the room knows it. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Senators' aides, tech CEOs, all straining to hear. Congresswoman Carter is my sister, Lucas finally admits, his voice tight. Gasps echo. The governor looks between us, recalculating. Your sister, a congresswoman? That's remarkable. The man in the waiter's uniform is gone, but the threat lingers in my mind. I force a smile, deflecting. Family dynamics can be complex, Governor, but we all serve in our own way. Hayes nods, a politician's instinct kicking in. We must have you at the mansion soon, a family of public servants, quite the story. He moves on, but the damage is done. Lucas and I are left in a charged silence, the weight of our estrangement laid bare. Emily. Lucas starts, his voice low. I didn't know you'd be here. I meet his gaze, unflinching, clearly. But as a U.S. Congresswoman, it's not exactly a surprise, is it? His discomfort is palpable, but I press on. You let them erase me, Lucas. Years of lies, calling me a failure, while I fought for people you'll never understand. Why? The question hangs between us, unanswered, as Alex touches my arm. The governor's wife is waving you over, he murmurs. I glance across the room. The First Lady is gesturing, her smile eager. My status has shifted. I'm no longer the invisible Carter. I straighten, smoothing my gown. We'll talk later, Lucas. If you're ready to be honest. I walk away, head high, the whispers of the crowd fading behind me. The threat from earlier still gnaws, but for now, I'm Congresswoman Carter, and no one, not my family, not a shadowy figure, can take that from me. As I join the First Lady's group, the ballroom's glamour feels hollow. My mind races. Who was that man? Was he connected to the sniper, the bomb, the cyber attack? And why, after all these years, does my family's rejection still cut so deep? I think of my grandmother, Margaret, the only one who ever believed in me. You're rewriting our legacy, she said at my swearing in. Maybe she was right. Maybe this gala, this moment, is the start of something bigger, a reckoning, not just with my family, but with the forces that want me silenced. The night stretches on, and I play my part, shaking hands, discussing policy, all while watching the shadows. Somewhere out there, someone wants me gone. But I've survived worse. My family's betrayal, a sniper's bullet, a bomb's blast. I'm Emily Carter, and I've built a life on my terms. They underestimated me. That was their mistake, and tonight, as the truth breaks through, I'm ready to fight for what's next. The smell of charred paper lingers in my nostrils, a ghost of the fire that gutted my campaign office 3 weeks ago. I'm standing in the ruins now, the Oakland skyline barely visible through the boarded-up windows. Blackened filing cabinets lean like drunken soldiers, their contents, voter lists, donor records, strategy memos, reduced to ash. My team huddles in the corner, their faces pale under the flicker of a single bulb we rigged to the ceiling. I'm Emily Carter, 35, U.S. Congresswoman, and the world thinks I'm unbreakable. But tonight, as I kick through the debris of my first campaign, I feel the cracks in my resolve. The fire wasn't an accident. Someone wanted me silenced, and the weight of that truth is heavier than the gala's glittering betrayal last night. I clutch a singed photo I found in the wreckage, a snapshot of my city council campaign team grinning outside this very office the day we opened it. Alex Reed, my fiancé, is in the center, his arm around me, his journalist's eyes crinkling with pride. That was before the firebomb, before the voter fraud scandal, before the world knew I was Congresswoman Carter, before my brother Lucas's face went white at Governor Hayes's gala, his lies about my failure exposed to California's elite. The photo trembles in my hand. I want to believe we can rebuild, but the threats are escalating, and I'm not sure who I can trust. Not my family, not the police, maybe not even the people closest to me. We've got to move, Alex says, his voice low but urgent. He's at my side, scanning the street through a gap in the boards. His dark hair is dusted with ash and his jaw is tight, a telltale sign he's worried. The press is sniffing around, and we can't afford another headline. I nod, tucking the photo into my jacket. He's right. The fire made national news. Congresswoman's campaign office torched in suspected arson. And every reporter in the Bay Area wants a soundbite. But I'm not here for them. I'm here to salvage what's left, to prove I won't be scared off. Not by fire. Not by my family. Not by whoever's hunting me. As we step into the cool October night, a black SUV idles across the street, its tinted windows glinting under the streetlights. My pulse spikes. I've seen too many coincidences to ignore it. Alex notices too, his hand brushing mine, a silent signal to stay alert. We head toward our car, parked a block away, but the SUV's engine revs and it creeps forward, mirroring our pace. "Keep walking," Alex murmurs, his voice steady but laced with tension. I force my legs to move, my heels clicking on the pavement, each step a defiance of the fear clawing at my chest. The SUV stops at the corner, its driver invisible behind the glass. A warning? A scout? I don't know, but I feel eyes on me, the same way I did at the gala when that man in the waiter's uniform aimed his phone like a weapon. The gala feels like a lifetime ago, though it was only last night. Governor Hayes's voice still echoes. "You're Congresswoman Carter?" And Lucas's stunned silence burns hotter than any fire. My family's narrative, that I'm the Carter who failed, crumbled in front of San Francisco's power brokers. But the victory was fleeting. This morning, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Enjoy the spotlight, Congresswoman. It won't last." No signature, no context, just a chill that settled in my bones. I haven't told Alex yet. He's already carrying too much, and I need him focused, not spiraling into protective overdrive. We reach our car, a battered Prius that's seen better days, and I slide into the passenger seat, locking the door. Alex starts the engine, his eyes flicking to the rearview mirror. The SUV is gone, but the unease lingers. "You okay?" he asks, glancing at me. I nod, but it's a lie. I'm not okay. I'm haunted by the fire, by the gala, by the memory of my family's scorn. Lucas's warning from years ago. "Politics will chew you up," rings in my ears, louder now that I've tasted its teeth. It started with the city council race 6 years ago, when I was 29 and naive enough to think passion could trump power. I ran on a shoestring budget, knocking on doors in Oakland's toughest neighborhoods, promising housing reform and police accountability. My family called it a disgrace. "You're dragging our name through the mud," my mother, Catherine, hissed at a family dinner, her pearls gleaming under the chandelier. My father, Michael, was blunter. "This is a waste of your life, Emily. Stop embarrassing us." Lucas, already climbing the political ladder as Governor Hayes's aide, leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Politics isn't for dreamers, Em. It'll chew you up and spit you out." I ignored them, fueled by the voters who believed in me. but the campaign was a gauntlet. The firebomb came 2 weeks before the election. I was working late, alone in the office, when a Molotov cocktail shattered the window. Flames roared through the room, devouring voter files and campaign signs. I escaped through a back door, coughing, my eyes streaming, but the damage was catastrophic. My team was shaken. Volunteers quit, donors wavered, but we rebuilt, working out of a borrowed church basement. Then came the voter fraud scandal, a last-minute smear alleging I'd rigged registration drives. It was nonsense, but the headlines hurt. Carter campaign under fire for alleged fraud. I won by a hair, a stunning upset that made national news, but the victory was bittersweet. My family didn't call, didn't text, didn't acknowledge the win. Their silence was louder than any insult. I pull my jacket tighter as Alex drives us toward our apartment in Berkeley. The city lights blur past, a kaleidoscope of neon and shadow. I'm exhausted, but sleep feels like a luxury I can't afford. My phone buzzes again, and I glance at the screen. Another unknown number. You can't hide forever, Carter. My stomach lurches. I delete the message, my fingers trembling. Alex doesn't notice, his focus on the road. But I feel the walls closing in, the fire, the SUV, the texts. They're connected, I'm sure of it. But to what? My family? My enemies? Or something bigger? As a city councilor, I pushed hard for change, passing ordinances for affordable housing and police oversight. The reforms earned me allies among activists and enemies among the old guard. One night, an email surfaced, doctored to look like mine, claiming I'd taken bribes from developers. It was a lie, but the federal investigation it triggered was real. For months, I lived under a microscope, my every move scrutinized. The stress was crushing. Meetings with lawyers, late-night strategy sessions. The constant fear of losing everything. Alex was my anchor, cooking dinner when I forgot to eat, reminding me why I fought. "You're not alone, Em," he'd say, his hand squeezing mine. The investigation cleared me, but the damage lingered, a scar on my reputation. My phone buzzes again, this time a call from my campaign manager, Tara. I answer, bracing myself. "Em? We've got a problem," she says, her voice tight. "Someone leaked our state assembly voter outreach plans. It's all over X, our entire strategy, door-knocking routes, everything." My blood runs cold. The data breach is a gut punch, exposing months of work to my opponents. "How bad is it?" I ask, my voice barely steady. "Bad," Tara says. "We're scrambling to pivot, but this could tank us in the swing districts." I close my eyes, the weight of it crushing. The assembly race, 2 years ago, was my proving ground. I was 33, a counselor with a growing name, running against entrenched insiders. The breach feels like a repeat of the fire, a calculated strike to cripple me. The assembly campaign was brutal. My family doubled down, begging me to quit. "This madness has gone far enough," my mother said over the phone, her voice icy. "You're tearing this family apart." I hung up, my hands shaking. The campaign trail was no kinder. At a town hall in Fremont, an armed protester stormed the stage, waving a pistol and screaming about radical socialists. I dove behind a podium, heart pounding, as security tackled him. The incident made headlines, but the real blow was the smear campaign that followed. Anonymous ads, funded by dark money, painted me as a dangerous extremist with ties to shadowy groups. The lies stung, but I kept going, fueled by the voters who saw through the noise. Alex proposed in the middle of that chaos, dropping to one knee in our cramped campaign office. "We'll fight every battle together," he said, his eyes steady despite the exhaustion etched into his face. I said yes, tears mixing with laughter, and for a moment, the world felt right. I won the assembly seat, becoming one of California's youngest legislators. My grandmother, Margaret, was there at the swearing-in, her frail hand gripping mine. "You're writing our legacy, Emily," she whispered, her eyes bright with pride. My parents and Lucas stayed away, their absence a familiar ache. In the assembly, I earned a reputation as a policy titan, passing 15 bills on education and healthcare access. But the victories came at a cost. At a fundraiser last year, someone slipped poison into my coffee. Arsenic, the doctors later confirmed. I collapsed mid-speech, vision blurring, and woke up in the ICU, tubes snaking from my arms. Alex never left my side, his face haggard but resolute. The police found no suspects, but I knew it was no accident. My work was making enemies, and they weren't playing games. We pull into our apartment's parking lot, and Alex cuts the engine. "You're quiet," he says, studying me. I force a smile. "Just tired." It's a half-truth. I'm tired, but I'm also terrified. The texts, the SUV, the data breach, they're piling up, each one a piece of a puzzle I can't solve. Inside, our apartment is a sanctuary of mismatched furniture and campaign posters. I kick off my heels, sinking onto the couch, but my phone buzzes again. This time it's a voicemail. I play it on speaker, and a distorted voice fills the room. "You're digging too deep, Congresswoman. Back off, or the next fire burns you." Alex's face hardens, his fists clenching. "We're calling the FBI," he says, reaching for his phone. I grab his wrist, stopping him. "Not yet," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "We need to know who's behind this." The U.S. House race was my biggest gamble. At 35, I ran for Congress, facing a field of seasoned politicians and intense scrutiny. My family's estrangement became tabloid fodder. Carter sibling feud, Congresswoman versus governor's aide. Lucas, now a fixture in California's political media, stayed silent, but I heard through allies that he'd called my campaign a reckless stunt. The data breach hit mid-campaign, leaking our voter outreach plans and giving my opponents a playbook to counter us. We scrambled, rewriting strategies overnight, and somehow pulled through. Election night was a blur of cheers and tears as I won, defying every poll. I was Congresswoman Carter, a title my family couldn't ignore. But they tried, until the gala. Governor Hayes's exclamation, "You're Congresswoman Carter?" shattered their narrative. Lucas's shock, the crowd's gasps, the sudden shift in my status. It was a moment of vindication, but it came with a price. The voicemail, the SUV, the man at the gala, they're all connected, I'm sure of it. I think back to my city council days when the firebomb felt like the end. It wasn't. It was the beginning of a war I didn't know I was fighting. Look at this," Alex says, holding up his laptop. He's pulled up an X-post from a local journalist. "Sources claim Congressman Carter's office fire linked to powerful Bay Area interests. More to come." My stomach twists. The journalist, Sarah Vega, has been digging into my story since the council race. She's relentless, and if she's right, the fire wasn't just a warning. It was a move in a bigger game. "We need to talk to her," I say, standing. Alex hesitates. "It's risky. If she's onto something, you're painting a target on both of you." I meet his gaze. "I've had a target on me since I was 17. I'm not stopping now." The next morning, I meet Sarah at a dive bar in Oakland, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. She's a wiry woman with sharp eyes and a notebook full of secrets. "You stirring up trouble, Carter?" she says, sliding a folder across the table. Inside are documents, emails, financial records, zoning permits, tying the housing deal I exposed at Berkeley to a network of developers and city officials. A name stands out: Richard Ellison, a tech billionaire with ties to my father's firm. "Ellison's been quiet," Sarah says, "but his money's everywhere. The fire, the smears, maybe even the sniper. You're a threat to his empire." I scan the papers, my mind racing. Ellison was at the gala, shaking hands with Hayes. Did Lucas know? Is my family involved? Before I can ask, the bar's door swings open, and 2 men in dark suits step inside. Sarah tenses, her hand inching toward her bag. "Time to go," she whispers. We slip out the back, my heart pounding, and split up in the alley. I'm halfway to my car when a hand grabs my arm, yanking me into the shadows. I twist, pepper spray ready, but it's Alex, his face grim. "FBI's at our apartment," he says. "They got an anonymous tip about suspicious activity tied to your campaign." My blood runs cold. Another setup. Like the fraud scandal, the leaked email, the investigation. Someone's playing a long game. And I'm running out of moves. That night, we crash at Tara's place, strategizing over coffee and takeout. The FBI raid found nothing, but the headlines are brutal. Congressman Carter's home searched in campaign probe. My approval ratings dip, and my opponents pounce, calling for my resignation. I'm on the ropes, but I think of Margaret, her words at my assembly swearing in. "You're rewriting our legacy." She's the only Carter who ever saw me, who slipped me a note when I left for college. "Be fearless, Emily. Someone has to." I pull out my phone, dialing her number. She answers, her voice frail but warm. "I saw the news, darling. Don't let them break you." I choke back tears. "Grandma, did Dad know about Ellison? About the fire?" There's a long pause. "Your father's a complicated man," she says finally, "but you're stronger than he'll ever be." The next day, I hold a press conference outside the burned office, flanked by Alex and Tara. Cameras flash, reporters shout, but I'm calm, my voice cutting through the noise. I've faced fire, lies, and threats, but I'm still here, fighting for you. This isn't about me. It's about a system that punishes those who challenge it. "I won't back down." The crowd cheers, and for the first time in weeks, I feel the tide turning. Sarah's story breaks hours later, exposing Ellison's network and linking it to the fire. The FBI shifts focus, raiding his offices instead of mine. Ellison denies everything, but his allies start distancing themselves, and the threats slow. That night, Alex and I sit on Tara's roof, the city sprawling below. He takes my hand, his ring glinting in the moonlight. "You're unstoppable, Em," he says, his voice thick with pride. I lean into him, tears falling. The fire didn't break me. The gala didn't break me. My family didn't break me. I think of Lucas, his face at the gala, the crack in his perfect mask. Maybe he's trapped too in a life he didn't choose. Maybe there's a chance to rebuild, not with my parents, but with him. But that's for another day. For now, I'm Congresswoman Carter, and I've got a fight to finish. As we watch the stars, my phone buzzes with a new message. No number, just 5 words. "Ellison's not the only one." I stare at the screen, my heart racing. The war isn't over. Someone's still out there, watching, waiting. But I'm ready. I've been underestimated my whole life, and that's my greatest weapon. Let them come. I'll be waiting.